Over. The 6 episodes of SWV and Escape, the Queens of R&B, hit their finale yesterday. I know a lot of us are asking for more episodes. I'm asking for secrets revealed. Some of us are asking for a reunion. Some of us are asking for a season 2. Which one are you? So before we get into any of this finale of this really fantastic reality show, following the life and the creation of this possible tour, but this concert. I want to know your reactions, replay crew, those of you in the live chat. Let me know how you would rate the season overall. Let me know how you would rate this season finale. Let me know what you thought of Latasha Scott and Coco on Watch What Happens Live. And of course, Candy had a couple of different things that she released yesterday in celebration of the season finale, but also her speak on it, and she spoke on it. We're going to talk about that and so much more. So let's get into a countdown and then get into this recap.
Baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor. I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter. I got the fuse. You make a fire. I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead. Just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up. Cool.
I can't believe it's been a week since the last time we talked about the SWV and Escape, the Queens of R&B reality show, but it's been a week and a lot has happened. A lot has happened between Tamika Scott and Latasha Scott, between Candy and Latasha Scott, a lot with Rocky Bivens, Latasha Scott's husband. We just posted a video earlier today talking about Latasha Scott claiming that when she said open marriage during her recent IG Live, she was talking about, quote, open communication. If you missed my video on that, be sure to check that out. I posted that a little bit earlier today. And I told you that I was going to be posting my recap of the season finale. I did watch the season finale again today just to kind of refresh my brain on how I felt watching it, and here we are. So where do we begin when we talk about this show? First of all, the series, I didn't realize how much I would love this series. I mean, I was really excited about recapping it. I told you guys that before it even started, but I also didn't expect what we got from it. We didn't expect Mama Gloria, the fifth member. We didn't expect all of the stories. We didn't expect these cringy moments with Latasha Scott and her husband Rocky Bivens. We've seen this relationship. We've heard about this relationship before. However, seeing it is pretty shocking and pretty interesting. But I think it changed a lot of people. A lot of you have called in and said, seeing this play out, a lot of you did for a very long time believe that Candy was the reason why Escape did not come back together, why they broke up. But now watching this all play out, you all see the reason why Escape is Escape 3 right now. It's still Escape, but just 3 members are touring right now. And it's really rooted in Latasha. And it's not just Rocky. I believe Latasha plays her own role. I think Rocky feeds into what already was there with Latasha. She already had this ego. She already wanted to be the Diana Ross. And I find it interesting, and I think it's because of this reunion, them coming back together and making millions of dollars off the, Great Escape tour. I think that was like, okay, here's that opportunity. Now she's always wanted to be solo, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be solo. There's nothing wrong. She could have literally put out this gospel album and still been with Escape, bringing in 2 bags, and also, you know, developing this solo career in the gospel community. She literally, when people talk about getting in your own way, she got in her own way. And that just says to me her intentions were impure. Her as a person isn't pure and good. Because if you were pure and good, you would have that in your mind. If you didn't have a lack-minded consciousness, you could understand, you could have it all. But I think between her husband, between herself, and Mama Gloria, sidebar, Candy did say in the comment section if you watch What Happens Live, she's the thing is when her and Rocky lie, it's so weird. It's so it's not even weird. Weird's not the word. It's so unbelievable. Because even Mama Joyce and how problematic Mama Joyce has been over the years, even when she talked about Mama Joyce called me one day and told me to get off of Instagram and stop singing, to stop singing. And we are like, okay, what you're even describing doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, Latasha. But Candy was in the comment section, just like, my mama doesn't even have her phone number. No one in the group has her phone number besides Tiny. But even when she said what Mama Joyce allegedly did, we were like, okay, I'm not understanding what you're even trying to say here. I'm not understanding what you're trying to say here. And Mama Joyce has done and said things that would make us believe, yeah, she said it. She said it, she did it. We believe it. But that just didn't make sense. Nothing that Latasha says now makes sense, as including her open communication relationship. All right, girl. So speaking of Latasha, at the top of this episode, we are at the group meeting and they are confronting Latasha about Rocky getting kickbacks from this promoter. The promoter, because what we talked about this in a separate video, the promoter didn't just provide text message conversations with Rocky, they also provided the wire transfers. And it's so funny when she calls Rocky. First of all, the way you guys are continues using that still image of her looking down at the receipts and denying what's in front of her face. She's like, these are text messages. She can't. She's like a humming, humming, humming. So she calls Rocky, and Rocky's a humming, humming, humming. In their confessional, when Rocky is trying to even talk about the situation, he's just like, "You can't. I got the same text messages. Can we see them, Rocky? You know you're not going to show them. You have the same text messages, but yours says something different. You're not reaching out to this guy about business. We're talking about. We're not talking about escape. What are you talking about then? Oh, Latasha's solo career. But remember, this is the same promoter that they're refusing to work with now, and this is part of the reason why Latasha's not on these recent tour dates with Escape. And I'm thinking it stems from this whole situation because you've been exposed for getting kickbacks. We talked a lot about that because there's just so much to unpack when it comes to what exactly may have happened and what was Latasha's involvement. During Candy's speak on it, she's literally saying about Latasha, your signature is on some of the receipts that Tamika is putting out there in her receipts video. So you are directly involved, allegedly. I'm gonna be jumping back and forth, guys, just because there's certain things that Candy said. Look, it was over an hour, so I'm still there's going to be things that I missed out on, and so I want to make sure once I remember it as I'm talking to you about it, just to mention it. All right, just because it's relevant. So the group confronts Latasha. Latasha's like, and just like, let me call Rocky, and she puts Rocky on the speakerphone, and Candy's just like, the way that Latasha is trying to separate herself from the Rocky involvement, she's like, but that's your husband. You're benefiting from the situation. But in the confessional, these two liars, Latasha and Rocky, Rocky's Rocky's just a humming. He's just like, oh, if someone is paying me money, it's because they owe me. Oh, so if this promoter is paying you, what does this promoter is paying you for? I don't know. The way that these two are moving, if I was in the studio right now, what I'd be pressing, right? Lock them up. Because the way that they're moving, both of them, is very dishonest and not believable. And just based on what they're saying. And not even based on the facts and not based on what we have in front of us, based on their confessional. Between the two of them, I'm like, what is going on? And when she tries to jump in to save him, she's like, well, sometimes each of group members has brought in a deal, so we'll get an extra percentage. I need Candy to talk about that. I can't remember if she talked about it on Speak on It. Has that ever happened where a group member has brought in something and they've gotten an extra percentage? Because Kenny even said, she's just, I'm not, you'll notice I'm not one of the people that brings up numbers or followers and things like that. She's like, everyone in Escape gets paid the same amount for a show, except not Latasha at this point, because Latasha is benefiting from this. We could sit here and act like she's the doting wife and she has no idea what's going on. No, she's benefiting from getting this extra money. So she has this conversation, but of course, as soon as she's caught out there, Rocky's like, "You can't speak for me. Don't speak for me, Latasha." She's when she hangs up with Rocky, Rocky denies it, of course, but we see the receipts, and she's like, "I'm leaving," and she gets out and she calls Mama Gloria, the fifth member. She gets up and she's like, "I can't believe this," and you think she would call her husband, not Mama Gloria? What are you calling your mama for? What's your mama going to do? Oh, and she's probably mad because Tamika is the one who's spearheading the meeting and the confrontation and the receipts. Anyways, as you know, this show was really about SWV and Escape coming together to do this tour, possible tour. We're going to get this show. The show. I wish I had known about this show. I would have went to Canada just to go see the show because who knows if we're ever going to see these two groups tour together. However, we're hearing mixed things. SWV is like, I don't know about this. The amount of disrespect. A lot has been said. They first of all, let's be honest. I've seen SWV look great, especially if they're doing interviews and things like that. But if you do look at them during their live shows, they're usually a little bit more relaxed. They've definitely upgraded their looks, which I think there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. That's part of the reason I wish more of these groups collaborated because you all can pull from each other in regards to your performances. Do I believe Escape is bringing and elevating what they're doing as performers more than what we are seeing with SWV? A lot of you called in and said, "I've been to SWV shows." Yeah, it's not what you think it is. Okay. And what I can appreciate and what I was, and this is where I talk on the fence because I have told you guys before, you can like both groups. It's very possible. But you can also see where some are correct and some are correct on one side and where some are wrong. And I've seen that with both groups. However, in this particular episode, I'm sort of into myself thinking, SWV, as they're practicing, they're preparing for this one night show. First of all, it was a short period of time for both groups to come together and try to intertwine and involve each other, which it looked as if they really ended up not. The only time that they collaborate during the show is during the in Is My Living in Vain? And even then, you can tell, even during the live show, you think SWV would at least turn it on. During the rehearsal, I can understand pulling back, but during the live show that they would, get in there. Coco at one point, she's not even singing, then she gets into it, and I'm like, this is not fair to the people paying to see this show. And and I know Tamika and Taj had big hopes for how this collaboration would come together, but of course, there were hiccups along the way for a lot of different reasons. Could it be the teams? Could it be the attitudes? Could it be who knows? But anytime you're bringing two groups together where people have a lot of opinions, there are going to be challenges. I'm not going to sit here and act as if that is easy. It's not necessarily easy because you do have a lot of chiefs that want to share their thoughts. Okay, a lot of bosses. Anyways, so they do SWV does agree with Escape to end the show with understanding, but I believe they ended the show with very much like we were suggesting, either don't end the show with either song, end the show with a universal song. Like that's what Friends are for. I believe they ended it with I'm Every Woman. We didn't see that. Again, TV. I keep thinking I really would love if they filmed this entire show, this entire concert, that they put it out on Peacock. Why not? We would watch that. I would love that. And I love seeing this stage show. And I think that is the difference between Escape and SWV. SWV, I believe they're in it to, for the nostalgia. They like performing. But I also don't believe they're willing to elevate what they're doing. They're giving you, for lack of a better words, bare minimum. Because they were like, you know what? When you start getting LEDs, when you start getting dancers, when you start getting backup singers or this or that, that is more money coming out of what you are supposed to be making. And already people are probably lowballing you. These promoters and and people are lowballing you. So you already do not want to take too much out of that. And your wardrobe, makeup, stylist, things like that. All of that's coming out of your budget. You already have your team, your management team. You got to pay. I believe their management was two people. So you know what I mean? So all of that is playing a role in regards to what's going on with SWV. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. I believe after they've worked with Escape, they're going to start asking for more. They're going to start elevating their looks, their sound, their stage situation, as they should. Because yes, you girls have sold 30 million albums. There are a lot of R&B artists that do not take those they don't take the same time and effort that we see, like, with someone like Jan Jackson or Michael Jackson. Like, they spent years in creating shows for people because not only are they talented performers, but they want the experience to be a performance as well. And I believe that is that could be, look, Taurus, I could believe that's what we're getting because of someone like Candy being a part of this team. And you can see with Tamika, she has a lot of ideas that she never used to share, but now she wants to share. But I see it a lot when they're rehearsing right before this show. I'm like, SW's like, come on, can we just get through the show? We just want to run through the show. But Escape, they're like, no, we want to go through the show, but we want to make sure because every venue's different. Every team that you're working with at the venue is a little bit different. You want to make sure you get all the kinks out. And I can see where SWs are like, are we running through the entire show? We have to keep in mind, you guys, this is your first time ever doing this particular performance. I don't even believe they ran through the show before. They ran through it individually, but have you done it together? I don't think so. They didn't have a lot of time, and based on what they were saying, it didn't sound like they did run through the entire show. Tamika came in and was like, "Oh, I want to hear the transition between their song and our song." They didn't hear all that stuff, so me being a perfectionist, you guys already know when I do the studio stuff, I'm switching things up all the time. I'm always elevating, trying to make things better for the audience. That's just who I am. And I feel I can relate to that when it comes to Escape. I feel like that's who they are when it comes to their performances, when it comes to their looks, when it comes to their sets, when it comes to their set list. So I found that to be interesting. I'm jumping ahead, but this is my recap. I can do whatever I want. So, okay. So Latasha brings up what Tamika said on the radio again in her confessional. She's still trying to discredit her own sister. You keep saying, I want this sisterly bond. I want to bring back the sisterhood. And I told you the sisterhood, according to Latasha, feels like a cult. And Tamika, I felt so bad for Tamika at the end of this episode when she has that conversation with her sister because she really wants, because that's her sister. She's right. She's rode for her sister for a very long time, and her sister, I know they want to blame Rocky, but no, Tamika, it's not just Rocky. It's also your sister. Rocky is just a wonderful excuse to use to justify what your sister really wants. She's like all of this entourage, and I love it that the producers showed her entire entourage of people that were traveling with her. She really is walking around like she's Dinah Ross. We even have a moment with Lily. She's just like, "Uh oh, Dinah Ross has arrived." I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. One of the things that also stood out to me, speaking of Latasha, was she didn't stay with the rest of the group, I guess at whatever hotel that they were staying at. She had gotten her own rental. And as I'm watching this scene, I'm like, Rocky is setting this all up on television. So it makes it seem like she really is the Beyonce. She is the Diana Ross. She is, the Gladys Knight. We're going to have our chef here. We're going to be at a separate place where, and he even makes it seem as if, oh, we don't know what the future of you being in this group is. Latasha says, in interviews that she's still a part of Escape, that she's just not doing these shows because of the promoter. But you saw the video that I did before in regards to Tiny, being on Speak On It with Candy. She says, based off of this whole kickback situation, I don't know how we could possibly ever work with her again. I don't know how we could ever do that. So I found that to be quite interesting. It will be interesting to see what the future of Escape is. Anyways, and then we of course are getting more of Rocky stuttering about stealing Tamika's money in the confession. Those confessionals were so strange and eerie and weird. But yeah. Anyways, back to the group rehearsal. First of all, the show looked like it was amazing. But the intertwining of their songs, the ladies collaborating, we already see why they didn't end up collaborating, partially because of the bickering about who's headlining, who's closing out the show. I'm done with the whole battle of should Week be a better a closer. Because based off both performances of Weak and Understanding, I feel like either one could have closed. I love both songs. I love the crowd reaction to both songs. Either one. But I said to you before, and that's exactly what they ended up doing. They didn't really close the show with either one of their songs. They closed the show, I believe, with "I'm Every Woman." We didn't get to see that. Huh. I would have loved to see what that would look like. There's so much footage, according to Candy, that was just left on the cutting room floor that we have not seen. That would have been really cool to kind of just unpack. We still do have how many more weeks before Real Housewives of Atlanta premieres? It would be nice if they could put together an episode. I don't know what Bravo plans to fill the next 3 melanated Sundays with, but come what is it, May 7th, we have the Real Housewives of Atlanta and the new all black cast spinoff of Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, coming. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Anyways, so we had that Don Juan and Taj moment, and I'm watching. And look, no matter how you feel about Don Juan and how he, part of the candy coated clique, and no matter how you feel about SWV, I felt like in that moment, Don Juan is doing his job. He's a part of the Escape team. But I also feel like Taj was trying to rush through the set. I think they were just trying to just run through the whole situation. I believe they had like 8 hours before the show, or like 8 hours of rehearsal. We have not even seen you guys rehearse this intertwined, this new show together. So it would have been good to see that happen. And it just felt like Escape wanted to really go through this show and make sure that the show is going to be seamless. Or it could have been like, are we going to be going through your entire set? And they're sitting around like, we already went through it. We have to remember, we are watching an edited show. There are elements that we are missing on both sides, and I know why people get so passionate about how they feel about girls. Like, oh, SWV is so professional, like they're ready to go. And some people will like, Escape, y'all need to get it together. You didn't practice enough. No, this is a different type of show, and maybe because I have a performer's background, so I have a little bit more understanding that it's not just a sound check you are doing. You are doing a new show. You're working with another group that you haven't worked with before, and now you're trying to intermingle that show, which I felt like it was good. The LEDs, but we also have to keep in mind, Escape brought in all the people that we see there. Everyone from the dancing to the lighting and the track listing. We also found out that Steven, you may recall, he's not just a graphic designer. I know Candy spoke about this too. He does a lot in regards to the stage show. So, but again, I still go back to last week's episode, and I'm sort of like, well, okay, that's all well and good, but weren't you, Latasha, Candy, and Coco supposed to work on this set list? Why are we going through the set list now? And it's sort of like, everyone's surprised. You know what I mean? And no one agreed upon it, because I felt like you should have been going through the set list together. We're going to start with this. We're going to end with this. We're going to, you know what I mean? But anyways, I just felt like in that moment, if you've been watching our recaps, I've been like, no, SWV is cool. They've been through it. They're the most mature. It seems like they're able to kind of like pull it together. I think they're able to pull it together because their intention is a little bit different, especially when we come to doing a stage show. I think they're able to just be like, okay, we're here to make some money, and that's it. We can make money together. I think, and there's nothing wrong with this. This is their bread and butter. But it's also when you meet with another group that wants to make sure that this is an entertaining show, they want to do the lights, camera, action kind of performance, and they want to make sure that it works in this particular arena, that we're going through all the things. The sound is great, the transitions are great, especially because this is a different show. Escape has never done this with SWV before, and we didn't have a lot of time to prep this. We want the show to look good, especially if our intention is to possibly in the future do a tour. If it doesn't look good, if there's not a good reaction, then, and according to Candy, Candy says on her speak on it, and again, this is Candy's side. We haven't been able to see everyone or hear everyone's side. Is that um the intention was to do a tour. They didn't really make any money from this one performance that they did. The promoters didn't, because the promoters did this with the intention of doing a tour. So the promoters, woo woo woo, promoters, they end up not getting the tour that they planned. But congratulations to SWV. Are they co-headlining with Jodeci? I don't think so. Jodeci is headlining a tour along with Drew Hill. and SWV. It's still going to be a great show, but they're not headlining. And I said to you before, I felt as if, yes, this is business, but I felt like if this collaboration, if this co-headlining tour with Escape would have happened, it would have set SWV up in a way that they could be like, no, very much like what Candy was saying, we don't want to lose our headlining, status. So this would have been perfect for SWV because all of you said it. They deserve to be headliners, but they have not asked for that. They have not set that up business wise. And I think the reason why SWV hasn't set this up business wise is because they were just like, what, I'm just here to make my money and that's it. That doesn't make for good business though. Do they deserve it? Without a doubt. However, they have not set that precedent up. Hopefully, they will do that in the future. Will there be a tour with Escape in the future? Anything's possible because at the end of the day, I want all of these women to make the millions of dollars that they're worth. I want them all to do that because they're all talented. Watching old performances with SWV, I'm like, they are very talented. And yes, I know Coco is the lead singer, but I've told you before, Lily and Taj, strong background vocals, but also they balance out Coco's energy. We'll put it like that. We balance out Coco's energy. Because Coco has tried to have a solo career and that has not worked for her. Unfortunately. Justice for her album. Just saying. But anyways, so they rehearse. Taj and Don Juan get into it. I already know how you guys feel about Don Juan getting involved, but this is his job. This is his job as a manager. I need a manager that's going to speak up for me so I'm not the bad guy. Speak up for me, Don Juan. He's like, that's corny. Tasha's like, who said that ish? Yeah, because you want to make this a dynamic show. This is a show. If I just came out here and just was like reading off of notes and didn't give you a show, when I edit certain things, not even just like our live shows, but like my pre-records and what you see behind me or in front of me. Even when I'm deciding where am I going to shoot, unless I am limited because I am not in my studio, even this, deciding where I'm going to be, I have to make sure the lighting is right, the sound is right, that you're not hearing a lot of noise. There are elements. There are people that don't care about those things. You know who they are, and that's okay. That's okay. That's not me. So I'm always very particular on where I am and sound quality, light quality, video quality. I could have a bootleg computer and you look real fuzzy. And you've seen those folks too. Nothing wrong with that. Because look, not everyone can afford necessarily to upgrade microphones, upgrade cameras, and things like that. But trust and believe, before I'm going out to the club or buying it on something else, I'm investing in my equipment. Everyone has different priorities. And those priorities you'll see the results. You'll see the results in the quality that's output and also what comes back in regards to how much you're paid, how many people are engaging with your content. Just saying. If you're looking for, people ask me all the time, they're like, what's the secret to, what you've been able to build? I haven't given you all of it, but it's the due diligence, it's the hard work that people aren't willing to do. They want a copy. And trust me, they do. Sometimes I intentionally do and change things up just to see who does it because they do. Um, but they don't realize the other elements that are there, the little things, and also the magic of being just yourself. No one can recreate that. No one can copy that. Just that alone. Like even if I didn't do any of those things, the magic of who I am and who you are, no one can recreate, and that's the magic of God. Anyways, so we finally Latasha arrives. Latasha arrives with her entourage. We have that moment. Latasha, she's lucky that Tiny is who Tiny is because anyone else that would have to share a room with Latasha and her 20-person entourage, I feel bad for them. But Tiny is just sort of like go with the flow. Go with the flow. So we get this performance, and like I said, I wish I could have went to see this performance. I wish they could have pulled it together, and we could have actually had this tour happen. However, this show, I feel like they just pulled together just so that they had the show. It wasn't what Tamika and Taj were envisioning in regards to really intertwining. Like at one point, Coco was like, I haven't taken enough meds. And I did find it cute when she before she was leaving as she was packing. She's like, I'm not gonna get into any fights because I want to keep my what is it? What do you call it? Her TSA pre-check. Me too, girl. I understand it completely. However, this is part of the reason I feel like we're not going to get the tour ever. We've seen the recent interviews that all of them have done, even though there's some hope. No, which is unfortunate because I do believe they could have done something really, really magical, especially the girl groups. The guy groups are great, the boy bands are great, but the girl groups are the most challenging, but also the most talented. And I would love to see that. Remember who did the tour? I think it was with Missy, Alicia Keys. Wasn't Beyonce on the tour when they did that whole female tour? But I would love to see the girl groups do like a full tour. But can you imagine? I think it would be great to first start with like a SWV and Escape and then maybe add on. That would be amazing, that would be magical, and I think that would be so freaking lucrative. So freaking lucrative, not just monetarily, just all the other things that would probably come from just what they would have done with that. I don't believe this last show was even close to what Tamika and Taj were envisioning, especially where they would collaborate with each other. That Is My Living in Vain performance, it was great because it's Escape singing their song, but at the same time, having SWV be a part of it, especially to hear Coco sing that song would have been amazing. And she's just like, "We don't do church in our performances." And I was like, "The gospel sing is saying that we don't do church?" Wasn't there, and I don't know if this to be fact. I can't remember if she's ever confirmed this, Coco. I may have asked her. I can't remember. But I thought when she was doing gospel, she refused to do "Can We." Remember that song by Missy Elliott that she produced for SWV before they broke up? I thought you refused to sing certain songs because you were in gospel music, but that could have been just a rumor. I think she was just trying to be a problem. I do know that they asked her on Watch What Happens Live one night when Candy said during last week's episode, and here is the real Coco. And she was like, Candy doesn't know me to know who the real Coco is. Like, I wanna ride with you, Coco, but when you're riding with Latasha, it's hard to ride for you. I feel like Coco is definitely in a better space and very different than the Coco of yesteryear, and I still enjoyed her on the show despite some of the other moments that we've had, especially in this last episode. And like I said, I would have loved to hear her perform that song. I believe she didn't want to do church in it wasn't about church. She was already ready to just do her own set with her girls and that be it. She didn't want to do anything extra. She didn't want to intertwine. She was already done. Which I could understand too. When you're done, you're done. But it would have been magical for the fans. It would have been that one moment. I wonder what that last song that they did, I'm Every Woman, what that was like. That would I wish they would have paid the money so we could have seen that performance. Can we get that performance? Bravo, Peacock. Can we stream that? Are we working on that? All right. So we get the performance. The performance was, it looked like it was really, really great. It's not what I envisioned. It's not what Tamika envisioned. It's not what Taj envisioned for this project. But we got it. They finally did it. But we're not getting a tour. Woo woo woo. So at the end of this, first of all, we get different. I love how they did it. It was very much Housewives. Like we're getting an update on where everyone is. But before we even get that update, we have that really heartbreaking scene between Latasha and Tamika because she's just like, "Are we going? Can we talk about being sisters and things like that?" And she's like, "You're a different person, with this man." And Latasha doesn't show any accountability. She wants she wants things the way that she wants things. I think we all knew as soon as they started having a conversation that this conversation wasn't going to go anywhere. Especially with Latasha. Latasha believes that she's right, even though she tries to take accountability, but she's not really taking accountability. So they have this conversation. It just leads to another fight, and Tamika's just like, "You're a different person. He's like all of these people is for him. It's not for you." And Latasha just doesn't get it. And she's just like, this is who you are. This is what you want. It's a sad situation because at the end of the day, they are sisters, but we've said this before in regards to, family situations. Just because someone's your blood relative doesn't mean that they have to be in your life. I think Tamika has tried very hard, especially over the last few years, to appease, Mama Gloria and to appease Latasha. But Latasha has already drawn the line in the sand, and she will do anything. She will steal from her sister. She will make her sister look crazy. She will make her sister seem like a liar just so that she's able to protect herself and Rocky. She has chosen her side, Tamika. Now you just have to protect yourself. And protecting yourself at all costs, because if her husband is willing to sabotage your career, to steal from you, to leak a corn tape, then they have no good intentions for you. They are all out for self, and that's sad. It's sad, but at least you can say, I know who they are. And when people show you who they are the first time, you better believe them. And if you don't, they're going to continue to show you, and it's just going to be bigger and bigger, and you're going to be like, damn it, I should have listened. But I think she really is getting to a better space in regards to understanding her worth and understanding who her family really is. I do love that Tamika, Tiny and Candy embraced Tamika in that moment. She had the conversation with her sister. It didn't go anywhere. And we get an update. Congratulations to SWV. A lot of and I believe this show is just going to elevate both groups. Touring wise, their music wise, I believe they're streaming. Probably, I didn't see the numbers exactly, but I'm sure their streaming is up tremendously. I know the ratings are up. I know Bravo is very happy with the show. I'm sure that they would love a season two, but word on the street, there is no conversation about a season two currently. So that would be interesting. Like I said, part of me can see where there would be a season two, because there's unresolved issues with both groups. Escape with SWV, but also within the group. However, do we really want another season of Rocky and Latasha using this platform to benefit their interesting and creative business ways? No, I don't want to support that. I'm not interested in that. Did you guys listen to Latasha's new album? I haven't. Um, so I would much prefer, and even a reunion would be hard to watch. I would much prefer us get the unseen footage of this reality show, and maybe in a year or two we can revisit. Maybe. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts on the season overall, on the concert that we got, on your reaction to what I had to say. Shout out to our King's Guards, our senior court, our senior royals, our royal court members, and our Team Kempire members as well. To become a member of the channel, head on over to TheKempire.com/join. I probably will. I'm sure this conversation about this show and the Latasha and Rocky situation is far from over. So maybe we will go live again so that you guys can call in and share your thoughts in the coming week. Okay. Anyways, I hope you guys had a fantastic Easter weekend, and I will see you all in our next video. Be sure to check out the video that I did earlier today, talking about Latasha and her alleged open marriage, open communication relationship. Who knows? Who knows? Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to check out our other YouTube channel, Kempire Radio, and the Kempire Shorts channel as well. We posted a couple of new stuff on TikTok, Twitter. Follow me. Everything's at The Kempire. And for everything Kempire, head on over to TheKempire.com for all details on merchandise, on our podcast, all the things. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all later. Bye, y'all.
You bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll ask you. Follow me, lead it. Just watch your shoes.